focus. Ideate, innovate, enable. CNBC TV 18 and Exotel present Catalyzing the Future of Customer Conversations.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode of CNBC TV 18 and Exotel present Catalyzing the Future of Customer Conversations. I'm Shruti Mishra. Exotel is one of the emerging market's leading customer conversation platforms based out of Bengaluru. It helps over 7,000 businesses across Southeast Asia and the Middle East region, streamlining their customer communication. To know more on this, I have with me Shivakumar Ganesan, the founder and CEO of Exotel. Shivakumar Ganesan, many thanks for joining us today. And let me start off with a broad question. Machine learning and artificial intelligence-based apps, they're growing exponentially and across industries. And businesses have to adapt to this new technology. How do you see this trend emerging? What is the kind of potential you see here?
Wonderful, Shruti. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for these conversations. And I'm also glad that you are starting with the AI question.
Yeah.
A lot has been said in the last few months, but frankly, I don't think we've spoken enough about it. I don't think we understand it enough. But what I do know is that we are living through a decadal moment. I think that the future is looking very interesting and it's going to be very different from what we know today. So I think it's a very apt question to start our conversation with. But before we run into AI, I'd like to take a step back and speak about disjointed customer conversations. As users, you and I, we download new apps and then we move from one channel to another. And so as enterprises, we want to be able to reach you wherever you are. So this becomes like a rat race where users keep shifting from one place to another and enterprises have to keep upgrading their technology to be able to reach their customers on their preferred medium of communication. So we've also launched a new brand identity and we'll speak about that shortly called Like a Friend. And so we believe that taking an approach like a friend is the best way to be in touch with your users. And I think this is where, for me, AI, generative AI in general, comes together to solve the problem. So what we've now finally achieved is to be able to use the data to build the context and to also humanize the conversations and make it available to all of our users. And I think this is really what generative AI is really good at doing. And that's what really excites me about AI.
All right. So thank you for taking us through the pain point that you're solving and the offerings, and we'll delve deeper into each one of them. But first, let me talk to you about Exotel's growth journey. It started off as an SMS and voice communication platform way back in 2011. Today, it is a communications platform as a service. Talk to me about your growth journey, how it evolved, how you pivoted, all of it.
Absolutely. So we've been focused on the customer conversations problem for over a decade now. When we started, of course, the world was very different. And what we ended up building was a communication API suite, using which large enterprises can incorporate, like you said, aspects of SMS and calls into their applications and software. Nowadays, we seem to call it CPaaS. It's called Communication Platform as a Service. And with this, we ended up becoming the backbone of the Indian startup ecosystem. So most of the brands that you and I love and we use today, we don't know, but actually is ultimately being powered by Exotel somewhere.
Okay.
The messages that you get or the calls that you get. So Exotel has touched upon your life and my life as well. So that's where we started. And then we expanded our vision even a little bit more. So we acquired a leading contact center software company called Ameo and a leading conversational AI platform called Cogno AI. And then we brought these three companies together to create what we started calling a full stack customer engagement platform. And now we have taken that even further with our connected conversations platform.
Okay.
So now we've brought in aspects of omni-channel. So I spoke about how users keep shifting across different channels. So we've brought in things like WhatsApp, RCS, not just omni-channel, but also connected. So as a user, you could actually be chatting from WhatsApp, whereas as an agent, I could be on the web and so on and so forth. And finally, of course, the icing on the cake is generative AI. And so putting it all together, so this is what we now call as the connected conversations platform.
Okay.
So over the last decade, I'm happy to share with you that we've powered over 7,000 businesses, 70 million engagements a day, not just in India, but around the world. And I think what really motivates us, our users like you and me, how our demands have changed and evolved over time. And our goal is to be able to present the cutting edge of technology to our enterprises, to our customers, so that as users, we end up having humanized conversations with the companies that we love.
Okay. Shivko, you mentioned about growing in India and global. So talk to me about your global expansion plans. What are your key markets that you're eyeing?
Currently, we are focused in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, more specifically UAE and Indonesia. In a little while, we'll speak more about the full stack or the vertically integrated part of Exotel. But we've actually recreated pretty much everything that we have in India in these two markets as well. Apart from benefiting all the companies from these regions, we also believe that a lot of Indian companies actually have businesses in these regions as well.
Yeah.
So from their perspective, they can continue to consolidate their spends with just one partner. They don't have to now find newer partners. And so it's sort of business as usual as far as our customers are concerned. And then, as you might imagine, so this is really just the starting point. We're hoping that we'd be able to now take the Connected Conversations platform to around the world as days roll by.
All right. So let's talk about growth. And you mentioned about how you're empowering businesses, your clients to grow as well. Can you give us a sense of the kind of efficiency you bring in for your clients?
So it depends on the requirements of our customers. So for example, we have a lot of digital native companies, startups, tech startups, if you will. And about 3-4 years ago, there was a lot of emphasis on growth, for example. And so we actually fine-tuned our offering to be able to scale really fast, to be highly available, very reliable. So those were the kinds of features and products that we were optimizing for then.
Okay.
Fast forward now 3 years, I think there's a lot of focus on profitability, on improving efficiencies. And so now we are focused a lot on creating unique bundles so that they can consolidate their spends, they can reduce the number of partners that they are working with, and ultimately bringing down the total cost of ownership. So in a way, you can say that we are helping digital native companies turn profitable.
Yeah. So you're helping your clients turn profitable. What about your profitability? How far are you from that goal? And if you can share some recent business growth numbers as well.
So we're actually investing a lot in the future of technology. And my dream has always been to create world-class products for our customers, for our companies in this region. And that's what we are sort of working towards. I do expect that we will become profitable by the end of the calendar year, most likely.
Okay.
But I'm actually more keen on ensuring that we help our customers become profitable by reducing the total cost of ownership. And the reason why we sort of brought all of this thing together in one place is so that our customers can consolidate their spends. We're hoping that we'll probably hit, I don't know, maybe $100 million type top line soon, hopefully in the next 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
So that'll be the first milestone that we'll be working towards. But frankly, my focus is on the use cases, is on solving problems for our customers. Revenues and profits, they will automatically come.
The sector has immense potential, but there is immense competition too. How do you view the competitive landscape that's there, and what would you say is Exotel's USP that sets you apart from the other competitors in the space? So,
Exotel's a leader in voice for a long time in emerging Asia, and we continue to be so. What we've now added are aspects of digital, things like RCS, email, WhatsApp, and so on and so forth. There's new channels as well. So we are now able to augment our customers to become more digital, more AI enabled in the days to come. And so we've played a big role in sort of cloudifying the telco, if you will, in the last decade. And then I now look forward to digitizing our partners in the next decade, maybe more so. So that's roughly the way we sort of think about it. I believe that we have a unique set of offerings that is very unique in the market. So I don't think anybody else has a superb combination of the network vertically integrated with the software, digital and voice and AI all in one place. So several of our companies sort of do different parts of this. But I'd like to encourage if people want to consolidate their spends and then want to work with one company that's building the future of customer conversations, that would be Exotel for me.
All right. You know, what's interesting is that AI and chatbots today are matching several customer expectations as well. Can you give us some use cases as to how Exotel is doing that?
Absolutely. So we're actually now identified a set of about 60 customers, and we've now working with them to launch their first generative AI contact center chatbot. So that's the first step. We've now taken data that's publicly available, and we're actually giving it for free for these people to sort of experiment and try with. So that would be the first step, and we call that product ExoMind, which we launched about a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Then we want to work with these enterprises to also augment it with their first-party data and let's say the information from the knowledge management system, the ticketing data, etc., so that the chatbot now becomes even more contextual and wildly more intelligent. And so that would be my next step. Now, a lot of this is still sort of being thought about from a chat standpoint, but we're also now working with some of the hyperscalers to try to see if we can bring aspects of this for voice as well. And as you know, in India, in emerging Asia, this is a very unique problem because of languages. So how can we now humanize the voice conversations as well? So that's another topic that we are working on.
Okay.
And all of this is still on-premise. All of this is on private cloud. So there's actually no compromise on security, confidentiality, data localization. All of those things are taken care of. So we do think that our customers would love it.
Okay. Shifu, let me also congratulate you on receiving the unified license for virtual network operator from the Department of Telecom. Tell me, how does it strengthen your partnerships with your various stakeholders?
Absolutely. So this is actually the most unique part of Exotel, which is the license. But first, let me tell you what this actually is.
Yeah.
So this is the MVNO license. So we are a virtual network operator. It's not that we have towers or anything. We ultimately still work with our telcos. But I think that this license is a manifestation of our commitment to both our partners as well as our customers. In the case of our partners, I mean like telcos. So we are now sort of working together hand in hand with telcos. And this license, I think, showcases that we are partnering with them now and forever. So I think that's the first part of the story. And then on the customer side of things, I think there are various benefits that accrues because of this license. First and foremost, it becomes now suddenly 100% regulatorily compliant. So for example, you could now open contact centers in tier 2, tier 3 cities without having to purchase hardware or invest in CapEx. And we sort of, Exotel will take care of all of that. It supremely increases the agility of deployment of these centers because the network and the software is now sort of like managed by Exotel on the customer's behalf. You are now working with just one partner as against in the earlier case where you're working with 3-4 different partners. So I think these are all some of the benefits that I think that the license that we have taken brings to the table. Ultimately, I think it's about bringing our telco partners as well as our enterprise customers together to co-create problems that we think will ultimately help users.
All right. On that note, it's time for us to slip into a short break. We will continue this discussion on the other side. Stay tuned.
CNBC TV 18 and Exotel present Catalyzing the Future of Customer Conversations. CNBC TV 18 and Exotel present Catalyzing the Future of Customer Conversations.
Welcome back to this very special episode of CNBC TV 18 and Exotel present Catalyzing the Future of Customer Conversations. We are in conversation with Shivakumar Ganesan, the founder and CEO. Exotel also recently launched Ameo Extreme, which is an industry-first telco regulatory enterprise contact center solution in India. If you could elaborate on this offering and how this is going to help various enterprises.
So Ameo has actually been the leading contact center of choice for enterprises in the emerging Asia market for a very long time. And what customers really love about Ameo is the fact that it is very, very feature rich. So, companies can actually create complicated workflows both on inbound and outbound, in all its glory, and Ameo will still be able to do all of that. So that's the part that I think customers really loved about it. But now what we've done is we've actually taken Ameo and we've put it on top of the Exotel cloud the same cloud that powers 70 million engagements a day. And so what this now makes is, it makes Amio extreme, which is that it can actually now scale infinitely.
Okay.
So we've actually tested this for about 20,000 agents already. And frankly, only sky is the limit because this is microservices-based architecture, cloud architecture. So technically, you can just keep scaling forever. Now we've also started doing omni-channel, which is to be able to be in touch with your customers in various different channels. So that's a part of Amio Extreme. And finally, now there are blossoms of generative AI into the platform that's coming in as well.
Yeah.
So this is what we call as Amio Extreme, and put it all together. Ultimately, I used to tell, my co-founder used to tell me that humans should do what they are good at, machines should do what they are good at, and between these two, nobody should be left lonely.
Okay.
I think that's what we sort of want to do with Amio Extreme.
All right. So let me now talk about ChatGPT, which is the talk of the town. Tell me, how are you integrating ChatGPT in your existing software and existing systems?
Absolutely. So I spoke to you about ExoMind, which is a product that we recently launched. So step number one, we are taking a stab at the customer service use case, which is actually very aptly suited for ChatGPT. So that would be step number one.
Okay.
Then we want to be able to also provide brilliant experiences between context transfer that happens between the AI, the bot, and the humans as well, the agents as well. And so that another unique thing about Exotel is that we don't provide just the AI, but also the underlying software as well. So the context transfer is actually pre-integrated. So as far as the user is concerned, our goal is that they shouldn't even know if they are talking to an agent or to a bot. So that would be our next step.
Okay.
And then finally, and we are still sort of thinking this through, we are trying to see if we can build conversational user interfaces for our agents. So when you think of software, you're thinking text boxes and drop downs and buttons, and so this is what we think when we think software, right? So now, what would the agent dashboard be like if it's also conversational in nature, right? So what if the agent can actually chat with the user through the software? If you can speak into the software to the end user, right? So that would be sort of like the ultimate dream of how we would like to incorporate ChatGPT or in general generative AI into some of our systems.
Let's talk about the thought and the philosophy behind your new brand positioning, like a friend. Talk to us about that.
Internally, we were searching for a core value, a philosophy that we should use when we are building the product, when we are delivering the product, and something that people are able to now connect with Exotel. And after a lot of debate, we came up with like a friend.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I mean, right? So basically, I think that when you are in touch with your users, some of the things that they are actually looking forward to you are things like they want to depend on you. They want you to be trustworthy. They want you to have the context. And as a friend, for example, is with you. She knows all the things that you've been up to, and so you don't actually have to start repeating your story from scratch. Let's say if you're going to her for advice, there's a lot of empathy with which your friends come when they approach you. The attitude with which they talk to you. I think these are the kinds of characteristics that I think build deep bonds, and that's the kind of relationship that we want to enable for our enterprises with their users. And so like a friend is now a core philosophy with which we are building our product. And to showcase that, we've also now come up with a new brand identity, which we are unveiling.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, I think ultimately the idea is to ensure that nobody feels lonely at the end of it.
Absolutely. So let's now talk about the sector in general. What's your view? Where does India stand as compared to the global landscape? What is the potential you see going forward, and any interesting trends that you're noticing?
I think that AI is sort of like made for India. It's literally like the pill that the doctor ordered for the country.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I read some report from Stanford that talked about, I think so far the amount of investments in India that's gone into AI is about 5th in the world, which is roughly on par to how big the size of the economy is, and I expect that to sort of become even further.
Okay.
As you know, we are a country of engineering talent, and a lot of them have already been thinking about AI for a very long time. So I do anticipate that inordinate amount of innovation is expected to come out of India on AI in the days to come. So that's going to happen as well. I also think that when implemented well, AI can substantially reduce the overheads that companies have. And ultimately, some of that benefit will also be passed over to the end users, which means we can now provide a lot many more services for a lot less, which means that it now suddenly becomes affordable for the masses. And that's actually very important in a price-sensitive market like India. The final point is that not everything is hunky-dory. So there are some uniquely Indian challenges. For example, languages. I still don't think that AI is at a point where it can seamlessly understand 3 different languages in the same conversation with a lot of background noise. So I think the confidence level is still sort of low on that one. And then to be able to get the AI to actually talk back in the same manner, now that's a completely different ball story.
Absolutely.
So I think these are some of the ways in which we think about what sort of trends and challenges that India and AI, when you put it together, we will face.
All right. Talk to me about the future focus at Exotel, your future projections, and what's in store at Exotel. What should we expect going forward?
You should expect a lot of like a friend from us, for sure. But what we're thinking about is to be able to create a connected conversations platform of choice that's world-class, that's enterprise-grade, that's made in Bharat for our companies. So that's really our dream. The dream is to be able to build technology that is at the cutting edge, because I've always wondered, folks in the US get it easy because there are so many of these products and services that they get access to. Why can't our companies, why can't our customers get the same kind of service and the same kind of quality? So I think that's sort of been the focus all along, and that will continue to remain our focus for a long time to come as well.
What do you think, what is that one thing that still remains? What is that one big challenge that is still there to kind of, bring India at par to the global companies? You're going to be competing with the big boys soon. So, what is that one big challenge that you feel that will perhaps, if it's not there, we will surely be catalyzing more customer conversations?
Frankly, I don't think there is any challenge, or let me tell you what I mean, right? So I think it's just a small point in time in history where we are going through a transformation. I actually anticipate that the transformation is going to continue. India will remain one of the largest economies that will continue to grow at 6-7% consistently for a long time to come. That's my hope. That's my expectation. I think the amount of engineering talent is very high in the country. The innovation quotient is very high in the country. Entrepreneurial nature of people is very high in this country. We know all of that. So I think it's really just a sleeping giant that is just raring to go. You and I have to just wait for another decade or two and we'll be there. I have no doubts about that.
All right. On that very positive note, let me wrap up this conversation. Shivakumar Ganeshan, it was an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and may the conversations continue.
All right. With that, it's a wrap. Stay tuned. There's lots more coming up on CNBC TV 18.
CNBC TV 18 and Exotel present Catalyzing the Future of Customer Conversations. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.